We begin with breaking news now. President Trump has weighed in on the executions of New York City citizens and an NYPD officer at a Park Avenue corporate building at the end of the workday yesterday.
The first gunshot echoed through the marble and glass lobby of 345 Park Avenue at the height of the evening rush, a sound so sharp and alien in the financial heart of Midtown that it froze people in place before the screaming started. What followed was a blur of movement and terror, a rifle raised, bodies dropping, and the stunned realization that the shooter had come prepared to unleash as much destruction as possible before his rampage ended. That shooter, police would soon say, was 27-year-old Shane Devin Tamura, a Las Vegas resident who had driven across the country with a cache of weapons and a mind seemingly unraveling under the weight of his own history. According to investigators, Tamura's assault began just after 6:28 p.m. Monday. Surveillance cameras captured him pulling up in a black BMW with Nevada plates, stepping out between 51st and 52nd Streets, and striding toward the building with a Palmetto State Armory AR-15 slung casually at his side. He wore a jacket over a button-down shirt, sunglasses hiding his eyes. In those moments, there was no visible hesitation, no pacing, no scanning for exits, just a direct walk into a building that housed the NFL's headquarters, investment giant Blackstone, and several other high-profile tenants. What happened next was as swift as it was brutal. Almost immediately upon entering, Tamura turned his rifle on Officer Didarul Islam, a 36-year-old NYPD officer working a paid security detail for the building's owner, Rudin Properties. Islam, a husband and father with a third child on the way, never had a chance. Witnesses say Tamura's weapon barked in rapid succession, the officer collapsing as workers and visitors scattered in panic. The chaos only deepened when Tamura fired on a woman who had been crouching behind a marble pillar, killing her instantly before swinging his aim toward the security desk. Behind it, guard Alain Etienne tried to take cover, but the killer's shots found him. Etienne would later be remembered as a beloved fixture in the building, a man whose smile had greeted thousands of tenants and guests. Somehow, amid the carnage, a single act of restraint emerged. As Tamura moved toward the elevator bank, a woman stepped out of a car directly into his path. For reasons investigators may never fully understand, he lowered his weapon and let her pass unharmed.
I believe he said the 19th floor, Central. 10-foot. Go back. I got Central, last on location of perpetrator. I'm just following the long gun, Central. Deploy the long gun. Looks about like 25 right now, Central. And who's giving? We'll be advised, still evacuating the building, sending them out on 53rd Street. Sending them out on 53rd Street.
Moments later, he was inside the elevator, rising toward the 33rd floor. That floor belonged to Rodin Management's offices. Witnesses there recall the sudden metallic ping of the elevator, the doors opening to reveal a man in body armor with a rifle at the ready. Tamura began firing as he walked the corridor, killing a female employee before turning the gun on himself. When police reached him, he was splayed on the carpet, a gunshot wound to his chest, ending the rampage he had planned for days. In total, 4 people were dead, 3 victims and the gunman, and several others were injured, including one man in the lobby who remains in critical but stable condition. The NYPD, FBI, and Mayor Eric Adams quickly confirmed that Tamura had acted alone, but the question that now consumes investigators is why he targeted this building, and why now? Some answers may lie in the note found in his pocket. In it, Tamura claimed he had suffered a traumatic brain injury and made vague references to the NFL, which occupies part of the building. Mayor Adams later said Tamura appeared to blame the league for his injury, though it's unclear what form that injury took or whether it was ever medically documented. His writings also asked that his brain be studied, raising the specter of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, a degenerative brain condition linked to repeated head trauma. Tamura's background paints a picture of a man drifting further toward instability. Records show he had 2 mental health crisis holds in Nevada, one in 2022 and another in 2024, each allowing authorities to detain him him temporarily if he was deemed a danger to himself or others. He had worked in the surveillance department of the Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas, but just a day before the shooting, he failed to show up for his shift. He also had brushes with the law, including a 2023 arrest for trespassing at the Red Rock Casino Resort and Spa after an altercation over collecting gambling winnings. The charge was dropped, but police reports from that incident described him as agitated and obstructive, refusing to comply with officers' orders. By Saturday, Tamura was on the road east, his BMW loaded with firearms and ammunition. Traffic cameras traced his journey through Colorado, Nebraska, and Iowa before he crossed into New Jersey and eventually into the heart of Manhattan. The car he left parked outside the building contained a rifle case with more rounds, a loaded revolver, extra magazines, a backpack, and prescription medication. The timeline of the attack is still being pieced together, but witnesses say the shooting unfolded in less than 10 minutes. From the first shots in the lobby to the final blast on the 33rd floor, the sound of gunfire was relentless. One bystander described it as a barrage, like an automatic weapon, and social media footage showed terrified office workers sprinting through the streets, hands raised as police cleared the building. Inside, some employees tried to fortify themselves. Photos from the scene show Blackstone workers stacking couches and furniture against office doors as they listened for footsteps in the hall. Others were led out by officers in tactical gear, their faces pale, the shock not yet fully registered. Outside, the blocks around Park Avenue filled with emergency vehicles, NYPD cruisers, fire trucks, ambulances, even helicopters overhead. Officers were seen dragging an injured woman in a dress away from the building, their voices urgent over the din of sirens. At one point, police performed CPR in the middle of the street on a victim they had just pulled from inside. The dead were mourned almost instantly. Officer Islam's colleagues remembered him as a devoted cop and family man. The 47th precinct draped in black bunting within hours. Etienne's union vowed to support his children, launching a fundraiser to fulfill what friends said was his wish for their future. Rudin management released a statement calling the attack a senseless tragedy and honoring the lives lost. The motive remains officially undetermined, but the NFL connection looms large in public speculation. Tamura's note and his long drive to a building housing the league's headquarters suggest a fixation, possibly tied to his claimed brain injury. Whether that injury was real, misdiagnosed, or imagined may never be known. CTE can only be confirmed post-mortem, and while Tamura's request to have his brain studied will likely be honored, any conclusions will come too late to prevent the destruction he caused. For now, what's left is a scar on a city already accustomed to sirens, but never truly prepared for the moment they signal something like this. 4 people are gone, families shattered, and an office tower once defined by finance and sports now marked by the memory of gunfire. The investigation will continue, sifting through Tamura's life for the threads that led him here. But in the end, the answers may not match the magnitude of the loss. This was a shooting that began with a single man stepping out of a car and ended with an entire city asking how it could happen in the middle of Manhattan's most guarded streets. And as much as we might want to find meaning or logic in his actions, sometimes the only truth left is that the chaos came fast, left devastation in its wake, and vanished into silence as suddenly as it began.